So I've been kind of putting this off, but at the same time I've wanted to talk about this. Over the past few days, GameStop has done something, and it really has nothing to do with GameStop other than the fact that they were a failing company. But GameStop, their stock has increased exponentially. This has never been seen before with their stock, and this is just something that is absolutely crazy, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what's happening, how it happens, and what I think it's going to do for GameStop in the long run. So I want you to stick around to the end because there is some crazy facts in this whole thing. I think this is wild that this is happening. But without further ado, let's go into the details. GameStop has been on a decline for quite a while. I would say 2015 to now, they've just been slowly going and getting worse and worse until here recently things got a little out of hand and they just really weren't worth much money. Their stocks were really low, which meant that in the eyes of the economy and the stock market, they weren't very valuable. So what happened there and why did some crazy things happen? Well, first off, I got to give you a little background story about kind of how the stock market works on certain things, but there are things where it's a little weird, but people basically like borrow stock and basically say, okay, I don't think this value of this stock is going to go up, so I'm gonna borrow it, and then if it goes down, I'll make the money, and if it goes up, they'll lose the money. And so that is kind of the first stepping stone to what is happening with GameStop. These hedge fund managers and people that work at the stock market were basically betting that GameStop was going out of business. They said, okay, their stock is going really low. We don't think it's going to rebound, so what they'll do is they'll borrow it, and then when it goes lower, they'll sell it and make some money and all that stuff. And this happens all the time. This isn't anything new. This is how they make millions, billions of dollars. When places are going out of business, they'll buy stuff. They kind of trade and do all these weird behind the scenes things to basically say, I think this is going to go out of business. And so it's just weird all around. And that is the first stepping stone for GameStop here. GameStop is on a downward trajectory, and honestly, that's caused what is happening now. So what exactly is happening now? Well, there is a subreddit. If you've never used Reddit, basically Reddit has a bunch of pages dedicated to a specific thing, and each one of those pages are called a subreddit, and that is where this all started. There was a subreddit about this, and they basically wanted to say, hey, enough is enough. We want those people that are betting that this company is going out of business to suffer. We want them to lose money, and we want them to realize that betting on a business that's going out of business and that they'll go out of business is kind of shady, and we're not cool with it. So what they did is they all pulled a bunch of money together, and they all went out and bought stocks from GameStop. Basically, long story short, supply and demand, they drove the demand up while the supply was still the same. There's no new stocks for GameStop. It's all the same amount of stock supply. So whenever they all drove the demand, they made the supply limited as it was, they drove the prices up. They drove the prices up exponentially, and GameStop, as recording of this, and I'm sure it's going to fluctuate, is about $300. This is crazy for GameStop. GameStop is not worth that. Honestly, GameStop was literally, as we all probably know if you're watching this, was going out the door. They were ready to be closed. But honestly, this is something that has basically kind of revitalized GameStop and the sense of the economy and how people view GameStop as being worth it. However, we both know GameStop is still the GameStop of last week and the week before and the month before and the year before. It's on a downward trajectory no matter what. Without this happening, GameStop was going away eventually. But they drove the stock up so much that it created a frenzy, and news started talking about it. I'm even talking about it on my YouTube channel. Obviously, this is not about stocks. This is more about kind of GameStop. And so for me, I wanted to cover this because it was about games, but it's definitely an interesting topic here. So basically, Redditors all got together and said, we're gonna jack this price up, and they're doing it. And it's going crazy. It's causing places like Robinhood, which is a stock trading app, to have a lot of problems. And they've got a few others lined up, a few other companies that were kind of going downward that other companies have bet money on, basically. And so it's definitely a crazy thing. But what do I think kind of about this? I've been kind of vague and kind of not talked about the numbers, because those numbers will fluctuate every second, every day, every hour. So I just kind of said, okay, those are $300 and left it there. But the thing is how is this going to affect GameStop? Will this make GameStop flourish in 2021? Well, we saw 2020 actually ended up being a good year for them, at least in the effect of games were getting sold. And so GameStop is at a weird place in their career. It's almost like their company was going big, they were huge, they got too big, and now they kind of imploded on themselves. But then like this has kind of brought GameStop back into the light, maybe back into the news, and it's not actually GameStop doing something bad. So what does this mean for GameStop? Well, first off, the saying is good news or good publicity is good and bad publicity is good. So this could be good for GameStop. People are talking about GameStop. I'm talking about GameStop. And so this could be good. However, I don't think this is going to save GameStop. Now, I know GameStop is having problems. They haven't been doing as much sales because obviously physical media for games is kind of weird for them. The used market for them is hard because I still think they're not taking trade-ins, which is crazy and a problem for them. But GameStop overall has been on the decline, and I feel like that's where they've gotten themselves to this point now, before all the stock issues. But honestly, I think once this blows over in a month and 6 months, I think GameStop's value is going to go back down to what it is, because we all know how GameStop functions, and it's just not a good place. Now, do I want to see GameStop go out? No, I think it is in a place that it needs to be, but I don't think this is going to help GameStop. I don't think this is going to save GameStop. And so I think this in the current time is good for GameStop, but I don't really think it's going to matter. I don't think it's going to help them or pull them up from their bootstraps because they were failing or anything like that. So I wanted to let you guys know that's kind of what I felt about this. And this is a weird subject, weird topic, but I figured this channel is about games, so I figured let's talk about this. I'll go into a little detail for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And that's all I've got, so see you later.